the collar of the hexagon socket bolts. Prevents excessive squashing of the cylinder head cover seal during assembly. The two-piece tooth belt cover for cylinder bank 5 to 8 allows dismantling it without having to remove the high-pressure pump for the power steering. Beginning with the 1986 models, the basic adjustment of the camshaft drive gears may be checked with the tooth belt cover assembled. For example, with the camshaft positioned on cylinder 1 at top dead center, the marking should match. Rotate the crankshaft to 45 degrees before top dead center. Important, only in the position 45 degrees before top dead center are all valves guaranteed piston clearance. Release the tooth belt tensioner and remove tooth belt from the drive gears. Remove camshaft gear, driver and woodruff key, and rear tooth belt cover. Release and remove the chain adjuster. Be careful. The chain adjuster is under spring pressure. For this reason, compress it during the removal process and tie it together with wire. Removing the camshafts. First, remove the bearing caps of the cylinders 2 and 4 and 6 and 8. Screw special tool 9226 into the thread of the spark plugs and tighten the bridges securely. The remaining bearing caps and the 2 double bearing caps can now be released uniformly and removed together with the camshaft gaskets. Special tool 9226 maintains the camshafts and the cylinder head while the bearing caps are removed. Release the tension of the special tool step by step and uniformly on the left and right. This prevents any distortions of the bearing surfaces and camshafts. The risk of fracture of components is reduced to a minimum. Remove the special tool, pull off shaft seal ring, and lift out the camshafts. When removing the cylinder heads, loosen and remove the through bolts from the outside to the inside. For example, opposite the prescribed tightening sequence. The cylinder head may be removed. Prior to installing the cylinder heads, fit the cylinder head gaskets. These are different for cylinders 1 through 4 and 5 through 8. The marking top must show up and the arrow in the direction of drive. Mount the cylinder head, engaging the alignment pins. Lubricate the threads and the base of the hexagon head of the through bolts. Fit the through bolts into the cylinder head and tighten them using the prescribed torquing procedure. Prior to installing the camshafts, make sure the crankshaft is positioned 45 degrees before top dead center. Only in this position can the camshafts be rotated without damaging the valves. Make sure you proceed as follows. Lubricate the bearing surfaces first. Following this, fit the matching intake and exhaust cams into the chain. The casting marks of the camshafts and the marked chain links must match. Now place the camshafts carefully into the proper row of cylinders and press them onto the bearing surfaces using the special tool 9226. To check for correct position, place gauge 9226-4 onto the camshaft lobes of cylinder 1, and gauge 9226-3 onto the camshaft lobes of cylinder 5. Put a thin film of Loctite 574 onto the sealing surfaces of the double bearing caps and screw them on. Following this, install the bearing caps. Please note, the ID number and the pair numbers must match. One more important note, the numbers on the bearing caps always point to the outside. The tightening torque of the bearing caps is 10 Newton meters or 7 foot-pounds. Install the chain adjuster afterwards.